your point of view or the point that you made the other day about checking this candidate list and, just the overall possibility of through that list, what that could end up meaning in Jacksonville as far as a new head coach. And then, obviously the future involved with Trent Baalke. Just your overall opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this. Like, I think there are certain candidates on the list that wouldn't take the interview if there wasn't some wiggle room there. Now, I think for some, it would be maybe Trent Baalke being reassigned and having somebody else in there with the personnel power. I think in other cases it might be, can I bring my own personnel guy with me, as the assistant general manager or something like that. But, I mean, look, like this is a bed the Jags made for themselves. And, really, like that's why I think it was, look, a lot of us heard like 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, like they may hang on to Trent and, and get rid of Doug. And I think most of us kind of like listen to that. And sometimes you hear stuff like that and you're like, it doesn't sound believable. So when it actually happened, it's sort of where a lot of us where it was like, all right, like, well, what's the sense in this? And I think part of it might be Shad doesn't want to do the search on his own. And, they'll go into the process with an open mind on the way that everything's going to be set up. And, again, like that could mean any one of a number of things depending on whoever they wind up wanting as their head coach.
Let's get right to Ben Johnson because he's the primary guy that's been mentioned here, and he's the one that Jacksonville, as far as the media talks about and the fan base would want most. What do you believe the chances are that Ben says yes here to the Jags in this job?
I think he finds the job attractive. I think it would. My feeling is just me talking. I think he'd want to bring in his own general manager. So I think you have a chance to be the most attractive job to him, but I think it would be under certain circumstances. Now, does that mean he wouldn't take the job if Trent was in there at all? I don't know that, but like I do think like he would want some level of alignment with the front office. In fact, I think that's a bigger priority for him than the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So he would want, I think the two things I've reported on, and I know he would absolutely want. Number one, he wants alignment with the general manager. And number two, he would want, an owner that's willing to see his mistakes and address his mistakes aggressively. And if Jacksonville can provide him with both those things, then I think it's certainly it's a job that I think would be closer to the top of his list.
Yeah. How awkward would that be? I mean, how do you do that virtually with Trent Baalke there with Shad Khan? I mean, do you just come right out and say, hey, listen, I want my own general manager?
How do you come out and say that?
Yeah, I mean, during an interview process, I mean, is it as simple as that?
Yeah, I mean, I think during an interview process. And sorry, I am in the restaurant now, so I was just whispering to the people here.
Right.
I would say, it's one of those things where when you're sitting down with, like this is going to be over a Zoom. Remember,
mm-hmm.
You lay out your plan, and here's the way I see it. Here's the way I see the front office setting up, and here are the guys that I would see as my general manager candidates if I had my choice, and this is the way that I would see your organization, and you just sort of let it come out naturally. And look, like if it gets awkward because it could affect somebody who's on that Zoom, I think so be it. You know what I mean? Like because that's the only way you're going to figure out whether or not you'd want to take the job.
Mm-hmm.
I would have told you a week or two ago when I still thought like that they were going to do the right thing, in what I view as the right thing, which is like a clean sweep and hit the reset button and start over. I think Jacksonville would have been at the, maybe at the top of Ben Johnson's list above Chicago and everybody else. Again, I think that's sort of conditional on the way the front office is set up.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. All right, hey, last one for you, Albert. We know you're busy. Albert Breer joining us from Monday Morning Quarterback. I think they have to hire an offensive coach because you need someone who is able to work with Trevor Lawrence. Your thoughts on the best candidate, whether it's a defensive guy like Aaron Glenn or that philosophy. Find the best coach, but it's got to be an offensive guy who calls plays to be able to take Trevor Lawrence to the next level where he hasn't been in his first 4 years.
And I lost you there because I'm in the restaurant. What was that, Rick, at the end?
Yeah, just, finding the right offensive mind who will call plays, who can be here for quite some time. Sean Payton with Bo Nix, Andy Reid with Pat. Not a defensive guy where you risk losing an offensive coordinator in a year or two if there's success. Just finding the right offensive head coach who calls the plays for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think they need a lot of I think they need hang on a second. I think they need they need a leader first and foremost. They've had enough problems there where they need somebody who's going to come in and change the way that they do things, and really, I think be able to set the right tone in that building. And if it's a defensive coach, then I think it goes without saying that not only would you need the thank you. All right, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, Rick. I had just the most aggressive takeout of,
Hey, listen.
The guy like borderline wanted to start a conversation with me. So
and you Lincoln Sudbury guys are so polite. Us from Acton Boxborough, we would have said, "Hold on,
yeah.
I'm doing an interview."
For those who don't know, Rick goes to our art tribal. My high school is art tribal. Or went to my high school art tribal. Yeah, I would say what they should be looking for first and foremost is the leader of a program and a guy who's going to be able to set up things a certain way. Now, the thing is, if that's a defensive coach or for some reason be a special teams coach, then I think you would be looking at it and you'd say, what's your plan? What's your plan for the quarterback? And if we lose your offensive coordinator, what's plan B in 2 or 3 years? Those types of things I think you're going to have to take care of on the front end.
Yeah. Well, who knows? It's this city is really shook. It's just unbelievable how Trent Baalke is able to consistently survive everything. And, he just convinces the one guy. He convinces Shad Khan, and for one reason or another, he's able to maintain his job.
Yeah. And I think it's, if you look at the track record, Rick, and we're going to have to do this interview again because I've completely screwed the whole thing up with my takeout experience here. I think it really is kind of mind blowing to me that Trent's been able to pull this off over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just, I look at what's happened there and what happened in San Francisco, and you look at the fact that he's a guy who got both of his shots after his boss got fired, and then to survive, I think it's now up to 3 coach firings in each place: Mike Singletary, Jim Harbaugh, Jim Tomsula in San Francisco, and now Doug Marrone, Urban Meyer, and Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. That's unheard of. You know what I mean? And so I think certainly the owner has a lot of explaining to do, and it's. There's still a chance to make it right here, and the first step in making it right is getting the head coaching hire right and hiring the best head coach independent of Trent Baalke, and then letting him help you set the course for what you want for your personnel department going forward.
Albert Breer, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we'll do it again. And by the way, the interview was fantastic. I've had a fun time. I hope they didn't screw up your order.
Yeah, no, I got into the car, and then my kid, I realized, they didn't put something in the bag that you wanted, which is great. So now I got to go back in, but we're all set.
My God, Duval, we have such a bad reputation. Now we've screwed up Albert Breer's takeout order in Boston. Unbelievable. Albert, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
There he goes.